It's Sunday, March 8th, 2020. This is All About Your Benjamins, and this is your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. Welcome to this week's episode. I apologize for getting into this a little bit later in the day on Sunday, but we just got back home from a photo shoot for my wife's store, a shameless plug here, Roman and Leo. So all three of the boys were in it, so we just got back home, and now I'm getting a chance to break down a few of the headlines out here. So let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. And obviously, coronavirus continues to dominate the headlines. We'll spend a little bit of time here, but there's some other things I wanted to point out as well. But we're seeing coronavirus continue to spread. We're seeing the numbers here in the U.S. tick up. And now we're starting to get a lot of narratives and projections and things of that sort. A lot of unknown around this. If you want, you can get caught up in all of the excitement. You can get caught up on the negativity around it. Maybe that's the right thing to do. Maybe it's not. I think the best place for us to be living is probably somewhere in the middle. So you've got the extreme doom and gloom over here. You've got the do nothings. This is not going to do anything over here. Probably somewhere in the middle. Be cautious, but also don't stop living your life. Go for the fist bumps and the elbow bumps instead of shaking hands. If you're not feeling well, maybe stay home. And then just make sure you're washing your hands and do the things we can do to control, and then just be cautious and be aware. So we'll see where this continue goes, but obviously there's a lot of uncertainty, and when there's uncertainty, when we talk about investments, the markets don't like that. So the markets this week, as you know, were all over the place. I think the week basically ended up flat, but Monday through Friday, each day was all over the place, and some of the days within itself was all over the place. So volatility is probably not going to be going anywhere until we get more information about what's going to be going on with this virus. What are the plans to contain it here in the U.S.? And until we get that, headlines are going to move things. So be prepared for volatility. Should you be making changes to your portfolio? You already know what I think, but the answer to that is probably not. You should have a financial plan that's guiding your investments, an investment policy statement attached to that. That should be your North Star for times like this, to keep you on your plan and not making changes that might impact it negatively over the long run. Short-term events should not be dictating long-term decisions with your money. So just remember that, even though it seems very potentially scary in the moment. Talk to your financial advisor, see if you have things set up the way they need to be, review that, but I would not encourage anybody to make any rash decisions just off of headlines and projections that are out there, because no one really knows what's going to happen. I'm an optimist, but also trying to live in that middle, not being too optimistic to where I don't think anything's going to be happening, but also not going to let this stop living my life day to day. So that's enough on the coronavirus, because I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it as well. But impacts of it, we talked about the market, up and down, volatility will be here. But another thing that's happening with this, a lot of this uncertainty out there, we're seeing bond interest rates come down. So bond prices are fluctuating in the market, and interest rates on bonds are coming down. Now that's not good for our savings. So the cash sitting at the bank, that's not good for that, because you're going to see that your savings rates will probably be coming down. But the good thing about that is we're seeing mortgage rates come down. So 30-year mortgages, 15-year mortgage rates are coming down pretty significantly, all-time lows. So it might be a good time to take this opportunity to refinance. Sometimes the best decisions and the most money is made is when there is uncertainty, and you can take advantage of it while others are panicking. You can jump on. Warren Buffett is a great example of that. He has made a lot of money over the years being a good investor, being a good purchaser when the markets are scary or when things are out there uncertain. That's when he pounces. You may not be able to pounce like that when it comes to investing, but you might be able to pounce on a lower mortgage, which will give you a lower payment. Going into a slowdown and a recession, that may not be a bad thing if that's where the economy goes. So pay attention to where your mortgage is today. Would you be better off refinancing potentially? A couple things to think about when you go into that decision. How long are you going to be staying at your house? What are closing costs going to be? Will you offset in savings the closing costs that you have to pay? And shop around. There are a lot of banks around that don't have high closing costs and things of that sort. There are other ones that make the rate look better, but they're baking that into closing costs. A prime example, I talked to a client, very good interest rate. He was quoted. Come to find out there's $9,000 in closing costs because they bought the rate down so much. So just be aware, just like anything with financial, numbers can be crunched. They can be hidden. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. And just make sure that the refinance makes sense from a financial standpoint, above and beyond just the change in payment on a month-to-month basis, or at least be aware of that so you're making a wise decision and you know what you're doing going into it. So rates coming down on bonds will trickle down to savings coming down, but also mortgage rates coming down. You might want to refinance. Another thing we're seeing come down, not directly to the coronavirus, but oil prices are coming down. This morning on the way to the photo shoot, I saw a $1.92 for gas. I cannot remember the last time I've seen a number like that. But oil prices are coming down, gas prices are coming down now. This is more a rift between Saudi Arabia and Russia, probably more political things going on. I haven't spent a lot of time looking into it, just going off of the article, the Wall Street Journal, which I know you shouldn't believe everything you read, but nonetheless, all I need to know is oil prices are coming down, which is a good thing for your pocket right now. Continuing to go on with some numbers that are going on, we had jobs report come out this week. Jobs were up, 253,000 new jobs were added. Unemployment is down to 3.5%. So those are good numbers as well there. We'll see what the coronavirus has to do with that going forward. I'm also interested to see if employers begin to have people working from home or not come in. What does that do to the whole hiring landscape? Will they be laying people off during this time period? Again, a lot of uncertainty. And with the uncertainty, we had the Federal Reserve come out and do an emergency rate cut of 0.50%, so 50 basis points, as you might hear some financial experts say. This was an emergency cut. They didn't have a meeting. We have another meeting with the Fed later this month, which the markets are pricing in an expectation of another cut. But the emergency cut was the first one since the Great Recession, so back in 2008, Great Financial Crisis, not Great Recession, Great Recession, not Great Depression. So Great Financial Crisis back in 2008, first time they did an emergency cut since then. A lot of opinions on that. My opinion is I'm a little nervous about that. I'm not nervous to where I would change anything, but just I would rather see a rate cut happen when the economy has slowed down, not a rate cut in response to a virus going around. But they know more than I am. I am not a central banker, so we'll go with their expertise, but there was an emergency rate cut. So the final thing is, again, there's going to be a lot of unknown out there. There's going to be a lot of headlines, a lot of narratives. I've seen some crazy projections out there. Know who the sources are. Are they reputable? A great thing about social media is we get a lot of information. A bad thing about social media is we don't know where the information comes from. It's very easy to make things up. So just be careful about the information that you're reading and the decisions you're making based off of that. At the end of the day, do what you can control, just like investing. Wash your hands, stay in if you're sick. Don't shut your life down, but just be a little more cautious. So that is it for this week's mixtape week in review. Check the mixtape articles down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, in the description there's the link to All About Your Benjamin, so you can get over and see all the mixtape articles. Some good ones this week with some more data and numbers behind the whole coronavirus event as well. So have a great day. We'll see you next week, and be sure to subscribe, like, share, help circulate this around so we can talk to more people. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.